Get ready for Tuesdays with Tiffany Lewis. Tune in at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time to Be the Change, only on Clear Source Radio, where we inspire people soul to soul. Only on Clear Source Radio.
Guys, happy Tuesday. How's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully this show will come across clear. It's always fun working with new studio equipment, trying to figure out all the little settings. But anyway, hopefully it'll come across clear. Hopefully everyone's having a great day and a great week. It's Tuesday. I don't know where you are, but the weather here has got like a 40-degree difference. It's like 30 degrees overnight, and it's like 70, 75, 80 degrees during the day. So it's a good way to stay sick. But hopefully everyone is happy and healthy, enjoying the new year here in 2019. And, you know, if you're not, get up and get positive. And on that note, welcome to Be the Change with Tiffany H. Lewis, only on Clear Source Radio, iHeart Radio, and Spotify. So, happy Tuesday one more time. First thing I want to let you guys know is that I have literally changed my Facebook page because I'm so against social media. I've taken my Facebook page and I've changed it into, you know how they call it, a timeline of events. So I made a timeline, basically from the time I went to high school till right now. And I'm on day 3 of this, what some of the millennials might call even a challenge, but it's not a challenge. It's just like, get up, get out of bed, stop being depressed, and, you know, hashtag a million ways to live, or a million reasons to live, or whatever that hashtag is that I called it. And the object of this happening is every day while I'm driving around and I'm doing my job and I'm coming across, you know, however many people a day, the object is to make them laugh, to make them smile, to photograph something beautiful, to catch it on camera, that just rare coincidence that changes your whole attitude, that changes your whole day. Sometimes it's graffiti, sometimes it's something as stupid as a sprig of, you know, whatever, fresh mint. It's just, it's growth, it's beautiful, it's positive, and I made it very public that I was going to change my Facebook page from a personal, I guess we could call it an outlook, you know, personal outlook page, because that's all that social media is. It's just your personal opinion, your personal outlook. So I changed mine into a public outlook, if you will. And every day, like I said, while I'm driving around and doing my job, which at this point I think I have like 4 jobs, but not the point. But I'm driving around, I'm out and about, I'm not even looking for things to do. But another beautiful thing about Facebook is that you really can look for things to do. You can go onto the Facebook, it's sort of like the marketplace. It's called Events Near Me, kind of, you know, real time right now or coming up soon. And you can sign up to go to an event like a free yoga class or, you know, a grand opening of whatever, or a 2nd year anniversary of whatever. And I'm not saying by any means that I go out of my way to go to any of these places or things or events. I'm just saying that I'm documenting exactly what I come across every day. And some days there's 20 pictures and some days there's 4 pictures. And today we're on day 3. So for today's pictures, I documented the fact that my tortoise, he puts himself to bed. He can say yes or no. He can shake his head up and down for yes or side to side for no. And I thought that was funny. You know, I thought it was cute. So I put that in my group of pictures for my personal sort of diary of life, if you will. And the key word there is life. This is about living. This is about life. And again, this is about inspiring and encouraging people to get out and make someone laugh and make someone smile without the need for memes or taking something from someone else and reposting it or copying and paste it. No, this is like real life every day from the second I wake up to the second that I go to sleep, which is usually about 3 days apart. But it's every little thing. So, for example, yesterday I was delivering a order of Starbucks, 4 coffees, right? 1 Frappuccino thingy and 3 hot drinks of coffees. And I get all the way there, and it's like 11 miles from me, but I get all the way there. And as I'm making a turn into the apartment complex, some idiot just totally slams on his brakes out of nowhere. And I mean like dead slams on his brakes, which causes me to then slam on my brakes, even though I am super careful when I'm driving. And I know to keep a distance of at least 2 to 3 cars between me and the person in front of me and or behind me if I can, have any kind of control over that. So we've got, at least 2 car spaces between me and that person. They suddenly did what I like to call a brake check. And that's where you just stop what you're doing and you just slam on your brakes full force. And, the idea is that you put your right arm in the United States, because we drive on the left side of the car and the right side is the passenger seat. You put your arm up and you protect whoever is in the passenger seat or behind you, okay? But when somebody slams on their brakes, for whatever reason, I didn't do that in that instance. So 4 drinks, 4 very hot drinks and 1 frozen drink, they go flying. They go flying across my car from the front passenger seat onto the floorboard. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Okay, so then I have to turn around and redirect myself to the next, Starbucks that I come across or whatever the name of the location was. And now I have to go back and buy those 4 drinks all over again at my expense. And the customer's like, where are you? You're going the wrong way. You're driving in circles, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of making excuses at this point because it is, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. It is rush hour traffic. It is downtown. So, that works in my favor. So I go to another Starbucks and order another round of those 4 drinks at my expense. And I pay for them. And when I get there, I tell the person, I'm sorry. I didn't exactly tell him the truth about what happened to the drinks. I said, I'm sorry I took so long. Traffic was really bad. It is 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on rush hour traffic on a Monday, because it was a Monday at that point. That was yesterday. And anyway, he's like, no problem, whatever. And these people get to rate you, just like an Uber driver, or just like Facebook. They get to give you a rating or leave a comment or leave a complaint or whatever. So I did everything in my power to thank him for choosing me to be the person that delivered those 4 drinks to him. And he seemed totally content, but, and I only had 2 customers yesterday, so one of those 2 left a bad review because it brought my rating number down from a 5.1 to a 4.7. So something happened, and, they get to keep tabs on you on these things like Uber or Uber Eats or any of these delivery platforms that are such, they're just a thing right now. I mean, they are the latest, newest thing. They're the shiny new toy. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you need to look into this. These electric scooters, these electric cars, these, concierge services, you go pick something up for somebody, whether they're famous or not, and you get paid a lot of money to do it. End of story. But they get to track you, and they get to track where you're at and how long it takes for you to get there, and you have to constantly maintain this steady conversation with them all the way to the point where you hand them whatever it was that they ordered. So it's based on your location, and pretty much every single major city has at least either the electric scooters that you charge overnight and get paid $20 to $50 extra a night just to plug the scooter in and charge it and then release it back to its, quote unquote nest or its hub. But, between that and being a person who will bring you that cup of Starbucks, say you're an attorney working at a law firm, or you're on your own or whatever, and you just really are craving a cup of coffee and you don't have time to go to lunch today. So I turn my app on and you order that cup of coffee, all right? And you get to choose who you want to deliver it to you based off of their rating. So when you get chosen, you clearly want to communicate with that person, and then you want to thank them for choosing you. Because unlike the Limes and the Birds, which are the electric scooters and cars that you can charge overnight and return them at 7 in the morning, unlike that, these platforms where you deliver food and drinks personally to somebody, face to face, it's a little bit different. They choose you. So, 1 second, please. Sorry, I have been trying to lose my voice all day today, which is no surprise. That happens just about literally every single time that I record this show, and any loyal listeners, y'all already know that by now. And it's always because I'm trying to give you a message. So let me start with this. And some people would call this a side hustle, but it's not. This is a full-time job, and I have multiple of them. So I own a nonprofit, but the key word being nonprofit. I don't make a profit off of it. And yes, I am super duper happy that we just got our very first operational grant. And I know that 2019 is going to be amazing for that nonprofit because we're sort of a household name locally, but not nationally and not internationally, not a household name anyways yet, like Martha Stewart, right? So people around here know about us. And then I have a couple of what people would call side hustles, which I do believe I talked about last time, the Tuesday before last, on Be the Change. I'm sorry, I was trying to think of the date, but I can't think of the date. But a couple of weeks ago, you can find that on iHeart Radio right now. Just go to my channel, Tiffany H. Lewis, Be the Change. Go on to iHeart, go on to Clear Source Radio, and listen to the past few episodes, and you'll see that it's all been leading up to this conversation. So with these new platforms, these new apps that are out, like Uber Eats or Dasher or anything where you're basically doing the same thing as a person who, let's just use a famous person, for example. They need to hire somebody to be their personal assistant, and they say, I want a coffee, and they just kind of snap their fingers, and you go get them their coffee. And then in this one rare instance, the coffee flies all over the front seat because so-and-so slammed on their brakes, and now you have to turn around, and they can watch every move that you're making in the app, which is scary enough itself. And then they see that you're driving around circles, and I've had one person even say to me, are you lost? Like, really trying hard to cover up for the fact that I'm just trying to make sure that their order is perfect, because they are paying for a service. They're paying for me to personally hand deliver something to them which needs to be in perfect condition. These are people with a lot of money who want things delivered to them, whether it be to the lobby of their 50-story high-rise or it be in person. It does not matter. But like I said last time on the show, it's these little side hustles, they make a lot of money. It's not a side hustle, it's a full-time job. You get to choose when you work, you get to choose when you don't want to work. You just turn the app on and turn the app off. That's it. Now the other person, whoever is ordering the item, they get to watch literally your car move from point A to point B, a lot like Uber or Fasten or whoever the leading companies are that drive people from place A to place B. It's a lot like that, except you are not having to deal with another person per se. You just go, pick up the delivery, pay with it with your card that they give you. They give you a card, like a black MasterCard with an unlimited balance on it. and you pay for whatever item with your card. Or sometimes the customer is nice enough to call the order in ahead of time. Or sometimes someone like me comes around and is smart enough to sit there for a minute and call the location, knowing it's going to be a 30-minute wait for a pizza, at 10 o'clock on a Friday night on a Super Bowl or whatever day that's going to happen, which I know is February 5th, but that's coming up, so that came to mind. And so that's an example for every single weekend night. It's 10 o'clock, it's raining, nobody wants to go anywhere to get food. They all want pizza for some strange reason, and you get paid what's called a blitz pricing. So right off the bat, just for me calling and placing the order and shortening the time of me having to wait there for 35, 45 minutes to an hour, I've just shortened my time to 15 to 20 minutes, right? Really, that's really the truth. Walk in there, pick it up, pay for it with my card that the company has given me, and I happily deliver it to the customer. So right off the bat, just doing that one thing, just one pizza on a random Friday night, right? That's, let's just hypothetically say that's $20 cash that I get paid every single day. Then on top of that, they have incentives and guarantees. So if you do, let's just say 4 deliveries between 10 and 1, you're getting an extra, $40, $50. So you get what you normally would make plus a bonus. And once you hit that goal of 4 or 5 deliveries or whatever it is, that's the quote-unquote guaranteed earnings. You're going to make money for that too. So basically, my quote-unquote side hustle is, delivering things to people that are not ordinary. It's not always food. It's not always pizza. It could be. It's literally like being a personal assistant to a famous person who gets a craving for, a pepperoni pizza with Reese's Pieces, but only the red ones, even though they don't make red ones, but let's just say only the red ones. So I have to ask them, hey, do you want to exchange it out for M&Ms? Because Reese's Pieces only comes in, orange, brown, and whatever the other third color is, yellow, I think. But they want a Reese's Pieces peanut butter pizza with pepperoni and red Reese's Pieces. So it's very personal. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of hilarious. And it pays so good that I'm not going to tell you the name of the companies that I do or do not work with, because you don't work for any of them. You're a 1099 contractor, which means you work for yourself. And for me in my world, that's very important, because owning a nonprofit takes up, like about 20 hours of my day, every single day of my life. I spend a lot of time grant writing, which is, subsequently how we ended up making our first operational grant. Thank goodness for that. And then when I'm ready to go make some cash on the side to get paid every day, you can charge scooters for $20 to $600 a night on the side. And again, I'm not going to tell you the name of the companies, because if you live in my city and you're listening to this show, that makes you competition. And it's kind of brutal, especially one company in particular, which I will name. So you're going to come across a company named Bird, and it is completely brutal. These people, 9 o'clock hits on the dot, and you have to collect the birds between 9 and 10:30. They're all gone by 10:30 p.m. every night, every single night. It's like Black Friday, literally every single night. These people are vicious. They are aggressive. They want that stupid $3 bird, which is a scooter. They're going to take it home and they're going to charge it for 7 hours for $3, a pop. Or they're going to go to one of the competitors and make at least twice that for the same amount of money, and only have to charge it for 2 hours and then return it to a safe hub. So basically what I'm saying is I've turned my house and my nonprofit into hubs where you can serve them. So I go collect them sometimes. Every once in a while I'll go collect, $100 worth of it. It's 20 minutes of my life. Plug them in, charge them, wait 2 hours, watch a movie, come back, they're fully charged, take a screenshot of it, submit it to the company, and sorry guys, again, I'm losing my voice, I'm drinking. I know it's not good, I shouldn't be announcing this, but I'm drinking Red Bull. But so you go out and you make $100 to $600 just doing your little quote-unquote side hustle, and you just bring the actual physical scooter home and you plug it into the wall, and you get paid to charge it. It's just that easy. But you have to deal with aggressive people and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all I have to say about the electric scooters. If you're looking to make an extra $1,000 a week, basically doing nothing but picking up scooters and putting them in the back of your car, and if you live in a major city where that service is offered, hey, sign up for it, do it. It would be stupid not to. Then get on, Stash or Acorns or, Motley Fools or one of these other places and invest your money wisely. Don't waste it. Put it somewhere where your money can grow. And you can do your own research on that, but that's just what I think you should do with this extra, let's say, hypothetically, $1,000 a week, anywhere from $20 a week to $1,000 a week, but you're paid cash every single day, right? All right. So back to the personal assistant, basically for famous people kind of thing. You get in Austin, is a city where we film a lot of movies. We have South by Southwest. We have ACL. We have all the film festivals. Like, everybody lives in Austin or has a second or a third house here in Austin. And it's pretty rare not to run into a famous person who wants something that they are craving. So let's just say I was, Marilyn Monroe. And again, back to the M&M story. I'm craving a pizza. I want nothing on it but cheese and red Reese's Pieces. So, we all know that they don't make red Reese's Pieces, and maybe with the exception of Valentine's Day. But that said, I'm going to contact the customer and I'm going to say, hey man, they don't make red Reese's Pieces. How would you feel about red peanut butter M&Ms? Okay, cool. And there you go. There's your communication. Drop that off, you deliver it to the person, and you just made $100 to deliver a pizza. Yeah, you waited for it for an hour. Yeah, if you weren't smart, you sat in rush hour traffic. But if you were smart, you don't turn your app on during those hours. So that's a lot of information that I just threw at you very quickly in a very short amount of time. And like I said, I did discuss this last time on the show on Be the Change. You can find detailed information about these hypothetical 5 companies that come to the top of my head right now as we're speaking. And while this show is live, if you could just refer back to my iHeart Radio channel, Tiffany H. Lewis, Be the Change on iHeart Radio, you'll go back and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. We will name the companies so you can get your quote-unquote side hustle on. And, $1,000 a week is a pretty cool side hustle. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to work that hard for it. I don't recommend Bird, even though the money's good. But like I said last time, Bird is like Black Friday every single night. The app does not even activate until 9 o'clock p.m. So you better have scoped it out between 5 and 9 p.m. and scoped out your area and found out where 15 Birds or electric scooters, whatever the name of that particular scooter is. In this instance, we're talking about Bird being the name of the electric scooter that you're going to bring home and charge. So Uber and Lime came together, put some money in, and they invested in it and released, hundreds of thousands of scooters all over the world in really major cities, probably like Austin, Dallas, Houston, New York, and, lots of other cities. And some of us caught on to it really, really early on. And, we're still really early on. We're only a couple of months into this scooter craze, this side hustle craze. And I don't even think that the millennials know about it, because everyone I've ever encountered has been, middle-aged, whatever. I'm not going to put any judgment or label on that. They're not millennials. They're not kids. They don't know about these apps yet. So it's great because, millennials complain about how people don't tip enough, but then you deliver this hand-delivered pepperoni pizza, which you substituted the Reese's Pieces for the red M&Ms with peanut butter, and they don't tip you anything. And the reason why they don't is because they, just like Domino's Pizza or Pizza Hut or probably any major pizza company at this point, they charge you a $5 driver fee, right? And so you as a client, as a customer, think that the driver is actually getting a $5 delivery / driver fee, and we're not. So we get paid set amount of money just to pick up the delivery, just to deliver the delivery, just to be nice to the people, and just to be happy and pleasant and you know, whatever, make sure their order is kind of perfect. So that's enough about the side hustles for today. I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about that because I did discuss that the week before last, and I did not give away any of the names because, you know, again, that's competition, but not saying I have a lot of listeners, but those listening probably live in the same city that I do. So my friends are competition now if you live in the same city that I do, and that's okay because I no longer work for those companies, and you know, I never really did. Again, we're 1099 contractors. That means we are an independent contractor. I can come and go as I please. I can choose my own hours. I turn the app on when I want. I turn it off when I want. That's it. Work 2 hours a day and make $400, literally, every single day, cash money deposited into your account the next day. But all that aside, anyway, so those 4 drinks, I'm just going to take this back like 10 notches. The 4 drinks that went flying across my passenger seat onto the floorboard. One was frozen, 3 were hot. And oh my gosh, we're talking about like whipped cream and caramel and fudge and everything everywhere, all over the car, specifically the passenger side. So I had to take it and get it detailed, right? And I'm not the kind of person who wants to spend $100 to get my car detailed. So I basically said flat out to the owner of the company, which was a locally owned, family-run business. And please keep in mind that I went out of my way to find that business because I absolutely support family-owned local businesses versus, the big guys, the corporate guys who have multiple locations. So the owner of this place, I'm not going to release his name. I'm just going to call him D for the sake of this conversation. And he has no idea that I even have this radio show, but whatever. And, what I love about him and what I love about his operation, his company, the fact that they detail cars and trucks and vehicles or whatever it is that you ask them to do, the prices are just right, but he also is a lot like my nonprofit. I mean, he and I sat down and had a conversation for about an hour, and I know dang well that my carpet was shampooed and cleaned just in that one passenger seat area, within 20 minutes, and it was like almost like talking to myself in the mirror, the things he said. It was a kindred soul, a kindred spirit. Everything that we were saying matched. We were both talking about, how life is so short and how people, take life for advantage or take advantage of life, and they don't understand that in any given moment, any given second, your life could just be gone, over. You could literally just walk out the front door of your house, get hit by a bus in the end. So, the point of this, and this may get a little bit emotional, and I'm sorry in advance, but, the point of this is that, before I ever met Mr. D, and before I come back to that segment of this conversation, several days ago, today is day 3, possibly day 4, I took my Facebook page because I don't like social media because all the tracking and the hacking and et cetera and et cetera. Anyway, I turned it into a public timeline of events, of things that one could see and or do and or participate in every single day. And while I've realized that I have quite the advantage living in a city Austin, a very big city where we're kind of way ahead of a lot of other cities. We have an advantage. I realize that. I do. I acknowledge that and I realize that. But, the things that I post about, bringing your guitar and sitting under, for instance, the Arch, which is this place where a lot of homeless people sleep, and Pencer Pals and many other generous people have donated tents to them so that they don't have to sleep outside when it's cold outside at night. So they have tents, they have their own houses. And then every Saturday, for example, from like 11 to 2, we bring our guitars, we bring our instruments, we bring them the Word, we bring the Bible, we give them, we read the Bible to them, we give them free church. They don't need to have a phone, they don't need to go online, and they don't need to leave the Arch, which is just the name of this place where this overpass happens to be, where a lot of homeless individuals occupy, with tents that we've provided to them. And there's really only like 2 hot spots in Austin where they all hang out. But I promise you that every Saturday, people are catching onto this. And I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people that are homeless right now. And, all they need is a chance. They're not looking for money. They're not looking for a cigarette. They're just looking for a second chance in life. So what we do, and we is not me and 10 other people. It's just I go there to witness the sermon or to witness the events. Sometimes I hand out food, blankets, jackets, whatever. Sort of like what I do on Thanksgiving Day. And there are other people and entities, and I have no clue who they are. And they come out there and they play their guitars and their music and they sing for free. And, Austin's the, live music capital in the United States. So there's music, there's, all kinds of stuff. And this is going to be the 3rd Saturday in a row where I've noticed that's been going on at the Arch, which is, again, this location. So Pencer Pals, me personally, have provided tents, and that's some jackets and some blankets, and that's all I'm going to admit to, because I'm a humble person and I'm not here to brag. It's not my place, it's not my right, and I'm not the one who put this on. And I'm sure whoever brought this together and decided that they were going to go to the Arch every Saturday from, per se, 11 to 2 and speak the word of God and just bring food and water and et cetera, then come back on Sunday and set up a whole bunch of chairs, just like a private party for people at the Arch, which ironically nobody really pays attention to unless you live underneath the Arch or about this event. And it's sad because it's literally right in the heart of downtown Austin. So it's pretty hard not to know about it. But anyway, this is the 3rd week in a row. It's going great. We have musicians. I've seen a lot of famous musicians. I've never, bothered them or anything, or taken pictures or anything without permission. And I've never really talked about this before until right now. But anyway, that's one of the things I do on Saturdays, and that's one of the things that I post about on this new Facebook hashtag, A Million Reasons to Live. So, like I said a few minutes ago, the object is to get up, to get out of bed, stop being depressed, stop feeling sorry for yourself, get up, get out, go get involved in something in the community. And if you live in a small town, or there isn't anything that you feel like you could get involved in, then start a movement. Really, start something. I mean, if you know there are 5 homeless people living in a particular area, just for an example, raise money for 5 tents. We're talking a couple $100, or grant write to a company that sells tents and ask them for 5 tents to give to 5 homeless people. Or if, for another good example, you see a homeless person asking for money for, something for their dog, which I really don't want to go off on that tangent, and I'm going to try very hard not to. But if one is homeless and they're not trying to actively become gainfully employed, and they're asking for money for the dog, and you bring the dog a blanket and dog food and water, and even offer to take the dog and give it to a good, loving house, and they complain about it, and they just want the money. You know, there's something wrong with that situation. So I'm going to leave that there, right there alone, because I don't want to touch on it, because I have very strong opinions about that. And it's a two-sided strong opinion. Like, I get the companionship side, but I also get, you know, if you're homeless and you have a dog, and your dog is freezing, and your dog is shivering, and your dog is hungry, and you're asking for money for your dog, and you have all these resources literally available at your fingertips, and I give you my card, or, you know, one of the 20 other thousand places just in this city alone that can offer you a job, you know, and you're not going to take advantage of that opportunity, you're not going to get the job, well, that's not something I can support. I'll bring you the dog food, I'll bring the dog a blanket, I'll bring you a tent, I'll do whatever I can, but I cannot condone or, you know, consent to agree with that behavior, and that's fine. That's my personal opinion. I'm sure all three of my listeners are judging me right now, but I don't care. That is the reality of the situation. Sorry guys, I'm trying to keep hydrated as much as possible, and I know that Red Bull's not helping, but it's giving me the energy to stay awake, because it gives me wings. Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull, yeah, I just did advertise for you, but the idea of hashtag a million reasons to live, and if you look that up on, you know, Facebook, social media, I don't know, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, you're probably going to see only 3 hashtags, because today would be day 4. So it's not going to pop up. It's not going to be a preloaded hit. It's not going to be a preloaded top hit. It's not going to be trending. It's something you have to go out of your way to look for, and you have to literally go onto my page to see the things that I photograph every day or encounter. And one of the things that I encountered yesterday, after spilling the 4 drinks that went flying across my car, I had to take it to a place to get it sort of detailed, at least that part of the car with 4 drinks went flying anyways. So the customer got their drinks for free because I bought them, so breakfast was on me, whatever. And then I spent a little bit of money getting that part of the car detailed, because it was all over the windshield, it was all over the dash, it was all over the floor, and we are talking about Starbucks. So it was sweet, it was creamy, it was whipped cream, it was caramel, it was sugar, it was ice cubes, it was just all kinds of stuff, just all over the floor. So I had to take it somewhere, and lo and behold, the owner of the place, who again, I'm only going to refer to him as D or Mr. D. I'm not going to release his name without his permission, and I'm not going to tell you where he's located. And honestly, I don't know where he's located. I did a little bit of research, kind of stopped, pulled over off the side of the road, and did a little bit of research of a family-owned local business that details cars, to get that out of my car so that I didn't have ants and bugs and bees and God knows what else. You know, we all know I have a dog, and I don't want the dog licking the carpet that goes in the passenger seat of the car, because it tastes like caramel and whipped cream. But I didn't want to ruin the car either. So anyway, I went there, and he gave me a really good price on that. And it wasn't really about him giving me a good price or not. It was just the fact that he was, you know, locally owned, family-run business. He was a good Christian man. And coming from me to say that someone is a good Christian man is a really, really large statement, because I have strong opinions about Christians, and I have other strong opinions about, like, actual Christians who don't just go to church on Sunday and dress in their finest Sunday outfits, and then the other 6.5 days of the week act like whoever they act like, their normal self. They don't put on a show on Sundays alone. So you've got the 2 versions of just Christians alone. I won't even go into religion. Just, you know, people who pretend to be good people And then the other 6.5 days a week, as soon as church is over at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whatever, they go back to being whoever they were before they stepped in the church. But when they step in the church, they act a certain way, and they're all holy all of a sudden, and, you know, whatever. But, sorry guys, excuse me for a second. You're going to hear me taking a lot of drinks because, you know, I'm not used to talking for an hour straight, and things come into my world and try to block me from being able to convey this message to you every single week. I mean, seriously, if you go on to clearsourceradio.com, or you go to iHeart Radio or Spotify or wherever Tiffany H. Lewis Be the Change may happen to be, you're going to hear me do the same thing every single week. You're going to hear me say, hey, I'm losing my voice, I'm drinking this, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking, you know, whatever. It's never going to be like Gatorade, but perhaps it's coconut water, and Red Bull, because Red Bull keeps me awake, alive, and attentive. But back to Mr. D. So he sets a price, he writes a receipt, and, you know, the guys were over there cleaning out the car and getting the caramel and the whipped cream and everything off the floor, and the ice and the, you know, 165 degree coffee and all 4 drinks that went flying across, you know, basically the whole front end. And, you know, these guys were so articulate and they were so passionate about their job. And here's the point of the story. Me meeting Mr. D, and again, I'm not trying to prevent him from business. I'm just telling you, I literally do not remember the name of his company. I Googled it. I looked for a family-owned operation, locally owned, because I like supporting local businesses over, you know, say, the big guys, or however you'd like to frame that. And go there, and we get in a conversation, and it was literally like looking in the mirror and just listening to myself talk. We're talking about life. We're talking about our dash. We're talking about how short life is. We're talking about, you know, people who are coming out of the incarceration system or have timed out of CPS or have been trafficked or whatever their situation may be. You know, they made this one mistake 100 years ago, if we're talking about a criminal history. And everyone to this day uses it against them. And we go into this lengthy, detailed conversation about, you know, you've got your credit report, right? And most things in the United States are supposed to fall off of your credit report after 7 years. Okay, that's just a fact. And hospital bills are not supposed to be used against you. And that's just another random fact. And so we got into the conversation about how the United States is basically the only country that doesn't give you free health care, not including third world countries. But let's say the UK, for example, you get free health care, guys. You really do. And for all the money that we pay in taxes, and, you know, for all the things that happen that we are not allowed to, you know, file Social Security and or disability for, such as mental illness, right? Which makes people homeless because they are tagged as having a mental illness, except the government is not going to pay them to pay for treatment, to get whatever treatment may be involved to help heal or help them recover or help them live with that mental illness, and give them a little bit of money on top of that so that them and their dog are not freezing at night asking for money on the side of the road. So we got into a very lengthy conversation that must have lasted a good hour about how that happens and why that happens and what could we do differently, right? Anyway, the guys, they finished doing the carpet, and we were so in depth in this conversation that I didn't even notice that they were done with the carpet, and we just were talking, and it was just so odd. You know, there's no way in the world that I would have met Mr. D if that idiot hadn't slammed on his brakes 3 seconds before I was arriving to where those drinks were going and flew across my passenger side floorboard and window and whatever. There's no way I would have met him. There's no way I would have looked him up because I wasn't looking to get my car detailed because it's a car. It's dirty. It was totaled out in Harvey. Nobody cares. Whatever. Nobody sees in my car. It doesn't matter. And it's a newer car, so it's not like it looks like garbage or anything, or it's old or it's outdated or whatever. It's just transportation in the end. And the conversations that we have are just so heartwarming, and honestly, to this day, this is a full 28, 29 hours since what happened yesterday morning at about 7 a.m. This is a good time. Well, so by the time you hear this, it'll be 7 p.m., so it'll be probably about exactly 24 hours on the dot. And, I spent the whole night last night just kind of crying at this conversation because the things that him and I discussed and how we just saw things the same way and in the same light, and how we felt about, it's not fair. You're going to call somebody, a name, a label, a title. You're going to say that they have a mental illness, but then Social Security and disability will not step up and provide them with any money. Therefore, they end up homeless. Therefore, now they're labeled a crazy homeless person, for one. For two, how are people that have been incarcerated or have some kind of history, if the government refuses to take it off their credit in 7 years like they are supposed to do with hospital bills, which we all know isn't true here in the United States of America, the great America, whatever. They continue to send you those bills. They continue to send you to collections. And that's whatever. It's always going to happen, and it's not supposed to be used against you, but it is. It is used against you. So how are you supposed to get a job if you are labeled as homeless, hungry, and nobody will give you a chance because they look at this thing on your record that was, a month ago to 200 years ago, and because of whatever that charge says, even though you went to prison and you did your time, and now you're homeless because of it, like, who's going to give you an opportunity? So then we got into the conversation about how I had a nonprofit, and he told me about his, family operated and run local business right there, which, again, for at least the 5th time, I don't know the name of it, so I can't even refer you to them, but I promise I will find it and I will post it on Facebook. And so I really wanted to kind of record the conversation I was having with him, because this conversation went on for like an hour. And it's like everything he was saying is everything I say every single day of my life. I'm always talking like that. And, ironically, as soon as I left the shop where the vacuum was carpeted, cleaned, whatever, excuse me 1 second. I pull up at a stoplight, heading back towards my house because I was done for the day, because I felt like a bad omen. I already threw 4 drinks across the floor and had to pay for that to get clean. So I took that day off yesterday, and I spent 90% of the day reflecting on this conversation I had with this wonderful man, and not just him but his employees, and you could just tell that they were just so happy and grateful to be working there. And what I loved about him was the fact that he didn't care what your criminal history was. He'd hire you because him and I agree on the fact that you get out of the system, you've served your time, right? You've paid your debt to society. And society wants you to be an upstanding, contributing person in society, right? They expect you to be gainfully employed and to pay your taxes and blah, 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 blah. So, but how are you going to get that if nobody's going to give you a chance and or a second chance? So to come across a business owner who feels exactly the same way I do about that and wants to give someone a second chance, and to find out that all of his employees have all been incarcerated, and meeting them in person, man, they were just awesome. they took such pride in their work, and you could tell he wasn't the kind of boss that like bossed them around. He was, you know, a man who considered everything a blessing. And I don't know his history, and I don't care to know his history, but he just reminded me so much of myself, and not just myself, but myself, my friends, my family, the people I associate with by choice. We are all so much alike, and, you know, to run into a person like that's not a coincidence. And then to drive a block up the road, you know, an hour later after wanting to record this conversation, it was just so funny at that point. It was just so ironic. It was just so serious. Like, really? You know, having a conversation basically with yourself, sort of like that Justin Timberlake song, you know, Mirror. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You know, you're having a conversation with somebody that feels exactly the same way you do about everything on every level. And it's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, it's a lot of things. So I reflected on that, and then as I was leaving the business, I came to the next stoplight on the way home because I was done for the day, because that to me was a sign that I should not be out on the road that day. So 4 drinks and getting a car detailed in just one little spot was a good enough reason not to turn that app back on and, you know, get back to my regular life. But it affected me in such a way because life is so short, and so few people understand what I'm saying when I say that. You know, life is, and I don't know what age we figure this out, or if there is an age, but at some point we wake up and realize one day that you are not guaranteed a second. You're not promised a moment. You could literally get up, walk outside, and somebody could just drive right into you and just kill you. You could just be going down the street to get a donut, and somebody could literally just cut you off and kill you. And that's just driving alone. I'm going to talk about, you know, bicycling or scooters or other dangerous situations or whatever. But you know, you're not promised anything. You can go to bed one night perfectly healthy, and you could have an aneurysm and never wake up again. You could have a heart attack and not realize that you're having a heart attack and die from that. And to have another conversation with another human being outside of my usual friends and family that I'm allowed to have this conversation with, because we all kind of feel the same way, that life is very, very short. You know, which is why tonight's show is entitled Live Like You're Dying. You know, I wasn't trying to steal that from Tim McGraw, but he has a really good point. And then again, at the same time, it's not a really good point, because, you know, if you were only given so much time to live, why would you wait till then to go skydiving, mountain climbing, whatever the rest of that song says? You know, you need to be living your life like that every day. So while I realize I'm talking in circles here that seem to be going around and around like a spiral, it makes sense to me, and I'm trying to stay centered and focused. But you need to live every single day like you're dying, because the only guarantee that you have in life is that you're guaranteed to die. You're not invincible. I'm not being morbid. I'm not being sad. I'm not being anything but encouraging. So much so that I've literally turned my Facebook page, Tiffany Lewis Castillo, if you want to look it up. If you don't believe me, it's public, you know, information, knowledge, things that I come across, things that I randomly see just in my everyday life. You know, a million things that you can do for free every single day of your life. 100 bajillion ways that you can help someone, which, you know, you could help them because it makes you feel better, or you could help them because it makes them feel better, but it doesn't matter as long as you help them. And it doesn't always cost you money. Again, there's a billion things you could do for free every single day. You could just get up, get out of bed, stop taking the medication, which I realize how bold of a statement that is. And I'm not a doctor, so please do not take my advice. If you're on medication and you're supposed to be taking that medication, cool. But if you're on like 400 medications it's time to reevaluate that situation and time to, sleep on it and think about it and realize that you need to look up what those medications are, what they're going to do to you, what their long-term effects, and how people have been affected by it, to this date, and make a decision if you want to continue taking them or not. But guys, like I said, my Facebook page is now like sort of a not so private journal of things that I come across every day. It was wonderful running into Mr. D yesterday and being also able to support a local family-run business who wouldn't be in business if it weren't for people like me who just so happen to have to slam on their brakes in the middle of delivering 4 Starbucks drinks to just your average person because some moron in front of me slammed on his brakes, and we all know I was at least 2 to 3 cars behind him. But that's not the point. When you slam on your brakes, things go flying. And this very one time, I did not put my arm out to protect whatever was to the right of me in the passenger side. And that's fine. There was no person there because that couldn't have been avoided. I would have definitely put my arm out to protect the person sitting there and chosen their life over my own. But there was no person there, and I wasn't thinking about the drinks that were sitting there. So they went flying, and I ended up at his business having a long conversation with him. I took a couple of pictures. They are posted on YouTube right now. You're going to say, why is she posting pictures of her carpet being cleaned on the little rug in her little car? Okay, well, that's why. Because Mr. D, because of the conversation I had with him. So now you know the backstory with that. Now you know a lot of ways to make money doing, a quote-unquote side hustle, if you will. But most importantly, realize that I live every second of my day, not just like I'm going to die, but because I'm going to die. I don't need a song to tell me that. I don't need a time frame to tell me that. I don't need any beliefs or disbeliefs or tests or answers or questions. I mean, nobody's going to live forever. So if you don't get up every single morning and put on a positive attitude and get up and get out of bed and get moving around and do things that make you feel better, and if they don't make you feel better, then let them make someone else feel better. Okay, it doesn't have to even be at your expense. You can just smile at somebody. And I always explain it this way, it's a ripple effect. You throw a pebble into a body of water, right? And what it does is it creates a ripple effect. You throw that rock and it hits the water, and while it's sinking, it's creating a pattern on top of a pattern on top of a pattern, and it just spreads on and on and on and on and on. That's the ripple effect. That's our lives. That's our every single second, every single day of our lives. And if you're not doing anything to leave your mark, to fill that dash between the day that you were born and the day that you died, then you are not living. You're not living until you die. And if it takes for you to get some kind of a deathly illness or whatever that's going to cause you to die, for you to wake up and live like you were dying, as Tim McGraw put it, man, all I can say is that you've wasted your whole life. So wake up tomorrow. Get up. Get out of bed. Seriously. Do something to help somebody. Do something to make yourself smile. Do something to make someone else smile. Slow down. Like literally, sometimes I just stop on a street and I see a pretty batch of flowers and I just go knock on the person's door and say, can I please cut one of your flowers? To the point where I carry scissors in my car and I bring flowers home all the time. Or the random person that slams on their brakes and causes you to have to go get your car detailed, money that you don't have to spend. But you need to because you don't want bugs in there and stuff. Support your local business, not the big guys. But, all right, y'all, I'm out of time. I know I've said a lot. I know I always say a lot in a short amount of time. And I'm not, apologetic for that whatsoever. But if you are not living every second of your day as if you are dying, because you are, then you are wasting your life. And if you're waiting to hear words from somebody, from someone with a medical practitioner, a doctor, or somebody, you know what, to tell you that you have so many days left to live or whatever, you're doing it all wrong. You don't know how many days you have left. You aren't guaranteed a thing. So if you're lucky enough to wake up tomorrow, I hope you live. I hope you live until you die every day for the rest of your life. I hope you create ripples. I love y'all. Have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in to Be the Change. This is Tiffany H. Lewis, and I'll talk to you again probably this Friday on Decoding the Unknown, which is at, I think it's at 8 o'clock, 8 Central, right here on Clear Source Radio. But I will post an event and create an event so you can join it if you want to. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Everyone have a good night. Love you. Be careful. Be safe. You know what? Have fun. Live. Good night, y'all.
Are you ready to be inspired? Are you ready to make positive changes in your life? Tune in to Be the Change, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, featuring our heartwarming radio host, Tiffany Lewis. She's an empath, an indigo, and has a new and uplifting message for you. Every week, Tiffany can be heard only on Clear Source Radio, where people inspire people, from our soul to yours. You can get the free app today at clearsourceradio.com. Visit Tiffany H. Lewis on Facebook for even more daily inspiration. Are you ready to be inspired? Are you ready to make positive changes in your